Before I begin the podcast, I just wanted to say that this video contains spoilers for Spider-Man Far From Home, so if you haven't seen the film yet, then I suggest that you watch it and then come back. Hello guys, welcome back to the Geek Show podcast. Today we are talking about the new release of Spider-Man Far From Home. In fact, it just came out this weekend. No, actually it came out 7 days ago now. Yeah, we've both seen it on the same day, basically 2 hours apart, 2-3 hours apart. And today we're gonna review it. I did that with like quotation marks though, like sort of bunny ears.
We're going to attempt to, but fail massively.
Yeah. So first thing I wanted to talk about, Will, is the fact that our opinions of this film are slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the film was very good and entertaining, and I thought it had some really cool action in it. And Will, what was your view?
The film didn't know what it wanted to be.
Right.
Did it want to be a superhero film, high school comedy, or kids, or like a love film? It had like different parts of every little it didn't know the writing changed regularly, and it didn't know what it wanted to be. And the comedy, don't even get me started.
Well, I think the comedy is the thing that we can both agree on in the film, and that it was not up to par to most films.
It's so forced.
Well, I don't think it was forced. I think it was just awkward, and maybe it was intentional, like showing this sort of teenage awkwardness and not being able to function like a human being or like an adult yet.
Sorry, in the first Spider-Man, Homecoming, that had jokes which had people laughing.
Well, I actually watched Homecoming again, and there was only really a few jokes, and this film does have a few jokes, in fact.
I feel like all the decent jokes are shown in the trailer.
Yeah.
So you know what's coming up. If it's shown in the trailer, it's not going to get laughs because you've already seen it. That's why, you should never use your best joke in a trailer.
You know, I think the best joke is probably the Aunt May happy thing, which they did use in the trailer.
No, that was the best one because that generally got a laugh. Are you joking? No, yes, no. That's funny.
So the villain of the film is Mysterio, and if you've read the comics or you have a basic knowledge of comics for that reason, Will was able to tell what was happening with it.
I have read a comic book.
Have you? What have you got?
Yeah, I've got a Venom comic book.
A Venom comic book.
Yeah, I find it is.
Does it have Mysterio in it?
Venom vs. Spider-Man, True Believers, issue 1.
Right.
There's a Mysterio in it.
It has who in it? Mysterio?
It has Fantastic Four, has Venom, more Venom.
Right.
No, Venom.
So you've got a Venom comic book. But anyway, you understand that Mysterio is a bad guy in the comic books, and he has this sort of like tease of saying, actually, I'm a good guy, but really, I'm not.
You knew going into that film he's not a good guy.
I think that the Elementals would have not been a good enough villain by itself.
Should have been used more.
Pardon? Oh yeah. Well, I think they were used a decent amount compared that they were really just a small plot device. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen the Sand one. I'd actually like to see Mysterio versus the Sand Earth one, because that was kind of cut.
Was that the one
right at the start?
Yeah.
So you got Molten Man, you got the Hydro Man, and you've got Earth. They were used as mostly a plot device, which is a bit of a shame, but watching Spider-Man face off against these giant creatures was pretty cool. Even if in the long run it didn't have a big impact.
Yeah.
Something that I did like during the film was the Spider-Man having to juggle talking to Mary Jane and making sacrifices throughout the film so that he could save everyone.
Yeah, but then, also another criticism of this film, all of Peter Parker's actions don't have consequences.
Well, they don't really, do they? He makes these sacrifices, but he doesn't get the consequences from these sacrifices.
Let's be honest, right? Peter Parker, not the richest kid, is he?
No.
but he can afford to go on a trip to Europe. He's not.
What kind of school does Peter Parker go to? Because if he's in a school and this school takes him to like everywhere for a school trip,
like to make him a relatable teenager, there should be little things like money issues or like make him more awkward. Not around girls, around everyone.
Yeah.
And like, where's this? When has he about like? In the first one, does it say anything about fancying Mary Jane?
Not really, no. Well,
Does it say? Literally, he gets snapped away, and then boom,
gone.
And then he gets snapped away, comes back at the end of the game, then into Botham. I think I like MJ. Since when?
Well, it was bound to happen anyway, because of like the comic books and the way that they work.
Yeah, but they could have played that out more. They're just using all the comic book stuff, which is like, you know what I mean? They could have played it out more.
But for me, I think my
massive spoilers ahead, but like another thing, like Spider-Man's identity.
Well, you're talking about the post-credit scene. We can get to that later.
Alright, okay. Carry on.
Yeah, but I feel like the thing for me that I really love about Spider-Man that makes him so endearing for me as a character is that he is our age, roughly, or a kid.
Meant to be.
Yeah, meant to be childlike, so he makes tons of mistakes, is a young Avenger compared to everyone else, doesn't really know what he's doing. For me, that's where Spider-Man is his best, when he's making sacrifices, when he's trying to help people, even if he is the weaker Avenger, and he doesn't need this sort of godlike status just to help people, and he's in the end he's just trying to protect his friends and the people that he loves more than anyone else, and that's why I preferred Spider-Man in this film than I did in Homecoming.
In Homecoming, he was learning.
Yeah, in Homecoming, he had to make one decision, one consequential problem.
Yeah, he was learning. So like that, the whole he learned that he can't, just because he's a hero, don't mean he can save the day like that. That whole boat thing. So yeah, it's first what he learned, then this got it.
But do you know the bit when right at the end of the film? Let's just jump straight ahead. Do you know there's that bit when he he just kills Mysterio?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because he's holding the gun, right? So the spider sense means that he can see where Mysterio is.
He gets tingle.
Yeah. So then he grabs the gun and then it fires, but then it rebounds on him.
I don't think it rebounds. I think he just gets beaten up.
Well, he dies, doesn't he? He gets shot.
Maybe he's got the force.
Just yeah. So he gets stabbed, but the thing for me was that Spider-Man never is supposed to kill anyone. I think in the comic books he's only ever killed like one person, and I think that was actually Mysterio, if I'm not mistaken. But that is because he was like threatening his family or something, so he killed him. Which I suppose is basically what he's doing in this film. But Mysterio is such an interesting villain, and I really loved Mysterio's sequence of illusions.
Yeah, no, they were the best bit.
And the fact that they played it more to a modern time of saying that it's actually a lot of just magic and holographics and fakery, less than, Mysterio, I've got a goldfish bowl on my head and I make things happen because I'm an illusionist or something. Like, I quite liked Jake Gyllenhaal walking around in a mocap suit. Even if I wanted to see him, actually in the final fight as Mysterio.
Well, he's the master of illusion, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's having drones, illusion.
Well, it's trickery.
Yeah, I know it's trickery, but is it illusion?
Not what it is, though, isn't it? Because you're convincing the audience that something else is there. So it kind of works on that level. Should we talk about the overall stuff, right? Just say overall what you thought of the film, whether you really liked it or really didn't. I imagine that our views haven't changed throughout this podcast, but nevertheless. And then we will talk about the post-credit scene.
I liked it, but it's not the best Spider-Man, which I really thought it would be.
So I prefer this more than Homecoming, and I feel like it's one step closer to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man that I believe is the best because of the but the lack of consequences is something now that I've realised. But the fact that he is there and having to make difficult decisions to be Spider-Man, and I feel like also just as a bit of a side note that I've just reminded myself of, the pacing for this film is rather good once it gets going. None of the action seems forced.
Yeah, the background fight, that's decent.
Hmm.
And the London fight, I have a reference to Iron Man and not Iron Man, sorry, Captain America picking up Thor's hammer when he picked up the London sign and that, but no. He only's on the bridge.
Yeah.
And he's got that as a shield.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a thing he swings.
You're happy in the tower and he throws the shield and this goes,
No,
how does Captain America do that?
He hasn't actually got a shield. He's using a bit of broken bridge as a shield against drones.
Oh, yeah, the bit when and he grabs that, There was a lot of Captain America type stuff, wasn't there? I suppose he's influenced by it, so it makes sense, really.
Also, I don't like how they called it the blip. I prefer the snap. Snap's a lot better.
I like snap.
Yeah.
Right, post-credit scene and end-credit scenes stuff, then I believe we've both given our overall views. So, these post-credit scenes, I think, are massive. I am still revelling with the... I think so, I don't know, it might not be. Revelling with the impact that these things have had.
As much as that is really, really good, right? Again, I said this to you in school, but how big of Peter Parker's life is keeping Spider-Man secret?
Yeah, they're taking, the bread and butter of his character away.
Spider-Man, Peter Parker's life.
Yeah, his
secret
identities.
Done it like that.
Yeah.
Which again, because they're probably writing, will be glossed over and there'll be a little joke about it and that'll be fine.
Unless the next film, Spider-Man 3, whenever that comes out,
Spider-Man 3 does.
Actually, works out a way of making that creating what I believe would be the most wanted storyline from the comics when he's hunted and everything. I think it's for a crime he didn't commit, but he's being hunted as well as Peter Parker's been hunted, so he has to basically go into hiding and stuff like that.
It will be for a crime he didn't commit because remember he said he executed the order. Well, that's murder, isn't it? They ain't done it.
And I'm looking forward to seeing them do something with that, because that is going to be really interesting. And, what a way for a villain to win. When you think that he's defeated and the film's over, I was not expecting then the villain to come back in some form, in a Moriarty type form like in Sherlock, and win.
Also, not happy. This would have been his last cameo, and they cut it.
No, this again.
They cut Stanley's cameo.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, no, it doesn't really. But maybe they wanted to get rid of it, saying like, this is such a big event that if we stick it in the next one, then it will look silly.
You can't cut Stanley's cameo if that's the last cameo he filmed.
It might get added on in like a bonus thing, maybe.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have it in a bonus. You just have it in the main release. In every single Marvel film, there's been a Stanley cameo, and it's never been cut.
They might have cut the original scene that it was part of, because there was loads of plans. Like he was going to go to New Asgard, and he was going to go and have a look on that, but they decided to cut that. So maybe he was there.
Alright, so you're saying...
I don't think he ever went there.
He was going to go to Asgard in Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I think they cut it.
That is ridiculous. Did you get the posters?
I did. I have it.
I'm holding it right now.
Mine's on my wall.
What's your favourite one?
What do you mean? What's my favourite one? I got one.
I got two.
What's on yours? Why do you have two?
I got the Mysterio one and the 2-suit one.
Oh, I got the 2-suit one. I think I got the Mysterio one. No, I just got the first one.
What Iron Spider in the back suit?
Yeah, the noir. Is it noir? The stealth noir suit thing.
Suits. Stop CGI.
Oh, you want to bring up this, but he hates the CGI for the Iron Spider suit, and so do I. I think that why can't they use more practical suits?
Nice suit, already built, need to do over it in CGI and make it furry and not realistic. It gets on my nerves.
As you can tell, it's a real big problem for Will.
It is. It ruins my immersion.
Okay.
I'm Spider Suit, get rid of it.
And then there's the final post-credit scene, which is the scroll thing. Now, I was sitting there going, oh my goodness, is this going to be the scroll invasion? And my dad was looking at me like, I don't know what you just said. I thought it was a scroll invasion, and I'm not quite sure where they're going with things. And this actually excites me, the fact that we don't know where things are going now.
Captain Marvel 2.
But we don't know where anything is going to go. We don't know if, what big storyline they're doing next. Whatever is happening, we don't know about it yet. Like Oscorp, we don't know. We don't know if the Fantastic Four are going to be put in, if the X-Men are being put in, if they're deciding to push that forward instead of waiting the 5 years it was going to take or something to add them. It's all very exciting, and this film has excited me. But I think my favourite bit is the fact that Mysterio has won, and Spider-Man has to make sacrifices, and that is the key form of Spider-Man to me.
They better make it a massive thing, even in future films, not just one little joke.
Oh, I think it will be a massive thing about him losing it.
The next film, it will be a massive thing. But then future Spider-Man films after that, it's still got to be a big thing. We can't forget about it.
Well, I think that they will go for I think it's the most recent run of Spider-Man has been Parker Industries, when he basically becomes Iron Man in a form. So he gets... So he gets the suits and everything, but instead of no, I think he's still hidden. In fact, he doesn't call himself the same person, but he calls Spider-Man his bodyguard, and he's got this sort of teched up version of the Spider-Man suit. May is doing this sort of charity work. I believe it's called the Uncle Ben Foundation, which could be what she's doing during this film. In fact. Because we don't really know what she's doing. Well, no, she's helping out people because of the blip, isn't she?
He has got no mention whatsoever.
Who, Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
Well, they can't confirm or deny if he has one or not.
Right, we all know the origin of Spider-Man, but so did this Uncle Ben mean a lot to Peter Parker? Did he say Malcolm's great responsibility?
Or was Spider-Man, this is Peter Parker, this version, this version of Peter Parker was his Uncle Ben, Tony Stark?
No, it should never be like that. It should always have an Uncle Ben.
Alright, that was a really cool idea, but okay, just throw that aside, that's fine. Anyway.
But then Tony the mentor, and Tony's dead.
Sadly, he is.
They kind of glossed over that with Getty images, didn't they?
They glossed over it with Getty images. Yeah. Well, no, they didn't. There was a few scenes when he's like, oh man, I really miss him. I've got to step up to be the next Iron Man. We're over 20 minutes.
To the internet. Alright, sit a bit loud.
Alright, so thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you're curious about the other stuff that we've done on this podcast, then, take a look at the rest of the library. There's plenty of stuff on there. We are on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, and I would like to put us on something like iCloud or something, SoundCloud in the future. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, leave it a like it, share it on whatever you want to share it on. Share it with your friends, your family. I'm really struggling with that, Will. And thank you very much for listening. The podcast has been doing really well in recent months, and that is down to you. So thank you very much. We will be back soon. I don't know what we'll be talking about Comic-Con, because Comic-Con is coming soon. So we will probably be talking about that at the end to the beginning of next month. Or the end of this month, beginning of next month. But thank you guys very much for listening, and we shall see you soon. Goodbye.